All right, thank you very much, Ashley. Okay, so let's talk today about some of the Meridian optional modules and some ways that we can boost the document management efficiency with Meridian modules. So this is just the introduction slide here is just an overview of, we have a Meridian software, which is generated by Accruent. Within that software, there's kind of two platforms. There's a Meridian Cloud platform and there's a Meridian Server platform. And within those platforms, there's several modules that can be implemented to configure your full environment. So just a picture to kind of show you an overview here of what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so as we get started, just an overview about myself. So my name is Jeremy Clay. I'm a document management specialist technical for Hagerman and Company. I've been working for Hagerman for almost 3 years now, doing new software installations, upgrade of existing systems, and just some technical support for Meridian or Autodesk applications. Prior to that, I worked for a pharmaceutical company for 14 years in their corporate engineering office. The day-to-day use of Meridian, administered the Meridian throughout the corporation, and got involved in some project management components. So very familiar with Meridian, how it interacts with both the user side and the technical application side. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll get started. Just an overview of what we're going to talk about. First things we're going to do is we're just going to discuss what really is a Meridian module. What's involved in it, what's available, things like that. Then we'll dive into the details, more of what modules are available from Meridian. Then we'll touch on the purpose of each module. Then we will talk about the benefits of the modules. Then we'll briefly discuss some complexity questions. We'll look at some additional resources if you have any interest or want some more information about those. And then we'll sum up with some questions about modules or anything else that's related. So just an overview of what we're going to be working on or talking about today. So first thing we're going to talk about is, what is a Meridian module? Let's learn exactly what a Meridian module is. So first, a Meridian module is a component that can be added to a Meridian installation for additional functionality. So base functionality is provided within the application. There's additional components that can be enabled or applied to environments to enhance it and make it more effective in certain areas. So after components have been added to the software installation, additional configuration might be required. So just because we enable a component doesn't mean that it automatically just turns a button on or off. Sometimes there's some installation, some additional configuration that needs to occur to fully leverage those components. And just a note there, depending based off license structure, there might be some additional licensing that's required to enable certain modules. We'll kind of touch base on that here in just a minute. But in summary, that's kind of what a Meridian module is. So now let's just do a brief overview of what modules are available that we're going to talk about today. So first, what Meridian modules are available? You got to ask yourself some questions first, because that will determine what's available for you. So the first thing in determining what's available would be, what configuration platform are you currently using? Are you using Meridian Server, which is a instance of Meridian that's installed on a server locally managed by your local IT in a data center somewhere, and you as the owner operator manage that, install software on it, and Accruent or Hagerman supports you in doing the configuration, installations, and things like that? Or are you using the Meridian Cloud, which is a bit of a newer approach, but it seems to be growing and gaining a lot of traction here in the last year or two. So what that is that's an Azure hosted server that Accruent provides. Accruent does all of the validation for the server, all of the updates to the servers, all of the software is always updated in the most current versions. You as a customer or a user of the system, you just leverage the software and use it within the Azure hosted environment. So first thing to do to determine is what modules are available, is to determine what your Meridian configuration and platform are. Then the second thing to consider is the licensing that you're currently using within your implementation. Are you using concurrent named user licenses, or are you subscription based? This is a key component because concurrent users might need to purchase different additional licenses, where subscription is more of the a la carte. Hey, if you're subscription and you have a license, you have a license for everything. So definitely a second factor that we want to keep in mind when we're talking about these modules and what's available. All right, so just to summarize, here's a list of the modules we're going to touch base on today. First, we're going to talk about the Meridian Advanced Project Workflow, or you'll hear it referred to a lot as APW. We're going to talk about the Enterprise Server for Meridian. There's two major components within the Enterprise. There's a Publisher component and an Explorer component. We'll touch base on those in details here in a minute. The Meridian Asset Management module. There's a Meridian FDA module, Meridian Mobile, and a Meridian Project Portal. So each one of these are something that can be added or expanded upon in your existing environment to provide additional functionality that might greatly help you improve your document management within your business. All right. So now that we've went over an overview, let's talk about the purpose of each one. So what is the purpose of the Meridian Advanced Project Workflow? So what this does is this allows you to manage multiple concurrent projects that share documents within a single vault. So the reasons you might need to do that, you can track multiple project copies of a master document within your vault. So if you have some capital project that's going to take 2 or 3 years working in a facility, and you have a minor project that might only going to take 6 months, both of them could have copies of a master document. They can both work on them, and Meridian tracks availability. It tracks the relationship between the parent and the project copy, and that really helps you integrate that seamlessly when it comes back into the master copy. Another piece with this APW is it allows you to integrate with the portal, which we'll discuss in just a minute, but that's a key component that really makes portal a very valuable component as well. So in summary about the overview of this one, it's extremely useful for large capital projects and facility owner integrations. So if you have project teams and facilities teams, they can work together to confidently know what the status of their documents are. Once again, that's the Advanced Project Workflow, or the APW model. All right, so if we talk about the Enterprise Server, an overview of the Enterprise Server is this module provides a centralized, scalable web service and administration for those within the Meridian Enterprise, Accruent Project Portal, and other business systems. So this is a web-based component that allows you to enhance your existing Meridian environment with some very key components such as Publisher and Explorer. So what the Publisher component is within the Enterprise Server, it's an application that generates rendition copies. 90% of the time, they're PDF copies of documents that have associated metadata already associated with them. And then it's very easy to view, print, search, redline those documents because they're in the PDF format. Within the Publisher, they do have some options that you can enable for native application rendering. So if you are doing any kind of rendering of documents outside the norm, so norm would be things like Word, PDFs, TIFF files, JPEGs, Excel, AutoCAD, any of those things are the base level. If you need the next level up, that would be the native rendering applications. And that does things like 3D models such as Revit, SolidWorks. They do have an integration with all Office components. So you could do anything from Visio, Access, Excel again, anything like that. So that's an additional component to the publisher that can be added. So once again, that's called the native application rendering module. Then if we go right below that and we talk about the Explorer. So Explorer is a repository separate from the engineering production vault in a web-based browser for documents and related information in one centralized enterprise vault. So in summary, what that does is that takes everything that's in your Meridian vault and puts it in a centralized read-only repository and allows very easy access and searchability, viewing and printing for people that are not tied to a Meridian vault license. So it's a much more affordable license to get for Explorer and allows very easy, not complicated viewing and searching within the application. So just a brief overview of the enterprise server again. Okay, let's talk about the asset management module. So the asset management module will allow you to manage multiple concurrent projects within a vault. The key components of this one, I'm sorry, this looks like the wrong slide. All right, so it's going to integrate information from your Maximo or your SAP information, your asset information, bring it into Meridian as what we call a tag object. So then your information is pushed from your Maximo or your CMM application into Meridian. It becomes searchable. And the key thing you can do is once it's within the vault, we can create references between that and the documents that support that asset. So if you have a tank inside your vault, you can link all documents that support that, such as a PNID, an equipment layout that shows where the tank's located within a building. If there's something related to an evacuation map or a distance from a certain electrical panel, you can link all those documents to the asset, and then everything is locatable with one click within the button. So that's the key components with the asset manager, is you can bring in information and then create associations between that asset and the documents that support it. The FDA module, if we talk about the FDA module, what this does is this module adds USA Food and Drug Administration CFR 21 Part 11 regulatory compliance features to Meridian. So that sounds complicated, but basically what that allows you to do is provide e-signatures on documents after approvals. When an e-signature, if you know the compliance rules, then for every e-signature, there's a few things that have to be provided. You have to provide a justification for the document update. You have to supply the date and time that the update occurred and who updated it. And they will use their Windows login for authentication to verify as they sign that they did and they intended to approve this document. And it really helps with things such as inspections, audits that happen in other major regulatory compliance issues. So you can see here at the bottom, a big thing is it just provides a level of comfort for compliance and EHS teams knowing that the documentation is properly managed and securely stored. So there's nothing been changed, nothing's been modified without the appropriate reviews and updates in place. So that's again the overview of the FDA module. Meridian Mobile. So Meridian Mobile is a downloadable application from any Apple or Android device that allows you to instantly access and view Meridian Explorer documents from anywhere that has an internet connection. So you do not have to be within a intranet, so within a secured VPN or anything like that. Meridian Mobile is available anywhere you have just an internet connection. So that's huge for clients that have large plants or that want to be able to access something via a phone or an iPad or something like that. You can you can quickly get in and look at stuff. You know, if you're using iPads, you can zoom in on documents. You can make sure that you can read things. You don't have to worry about keeping paper dry or wet. You don't have to worry about printing it off before. Everything can be done electronically, which is really nice. The Meridian Mobile has some pretty advanced dynamic searching. So if there's certain components that you're looking for, you can quickly reduce your results so you can quickly find and view documentation that you're looking for. Another key component is you can actually review and apply comments within a document instantaneously. So there's no reason to find a document, then go back and print it, and come back and redline it out in the field with a pen and paper, and then go back and transfer that information or scan it into a PDF. You can redline documents out in the field on your tablet using built-in tools for quick and effective markups. So by effective markups there, another key component is these tools avoid things like, you know, not being able to read somebody's handwriting or something getting smudged or you can't tell which direction a line is pointing, something like that. These tools are really effective in helping people mark up documents. So once again, just summarizing, it's instant access to documentation for all members of facility or project or maintenance teams. Once again, that's the Meridian Mobile module there. All right, so let's quickly talk about Project Portal. Project Portal is a cloud-based portal for collaboration between facility owner-operators and contractors that doesn't require direct access to any internal master data or workflows. So the Project Portal is part of the Meridian Cloud environment. This can be segregated off and open for customers to use in one of two ways. One, it can be standalone. So if you want to just have an environment to use as a centralized collaboration area for documents, you can do that. You can use the Meridian portal to load documents up to and review and collaborate as a team. Like I said, the key component there is you do not have to have internal access to any servers or anything like that. You can invite users that are outside of your company with a very quick registration. They will instantly have access to not only get on and view, but also redline, comment, download, upload documents based off the permissions that you've given them within the project portal. So once again, just to summarize, the integration with facility owners and external contractors in a secure environment. So project portal, that's the purpose of it. So I wanted to briefly touch on that. That's an overview of each component we're going to talk about. I wanted to briefly touch on some ways that you can kind of look at your existing environment and say, hey, I know I have a Meridian environment. I'm not really sure what modules we're using or what's going on. So there's three ways that I came up with that you can quickly evaluate your existing system and what modules you're using. So the first is if you log in and you look at the licenses that are applied to your environment. If you're using concurrent or if you're using subscription licenses, a lot of times you'll see line items for each component that's being used within your environment. So if you're using Publisher, or if you're using the Explorer client, or if you're using native rendering applications, you'll see a specific license dedicated to that component. So that's one quick way you can evaluate what you're doing. Another way is you can get in your Vault configuration file, the MET file, and you can look at options that have been enabled. So if you're a little more advanced with Meridian, you can open the configurator tool, look at your existing configuration environment and start to see what components have been enabled. You can also get within the administrator tool that's on the desktop and see if components have been, like I said, again, enabled or been turned on for use. And the third way to check would be get back into the administration console for the enterprise server and review details such as what jobs are enabled, what components are being used, are the rendering profiles turned on or turned off, some more additional details like that. So just at a very high level, those are three things you can look at to kind of get an overview of your existing environment and where you're at and what you're currently using. All right, so now let's talk about some of the benefits of adding a Meridian module. All right, so the benefits of adding the APW, or the Advanced Project Workflow module. It's extremely useful for management of large capital projects, their documentation for existing facilities. So if you have a facility that's existing, you have people who are in the maintenance team and the everyday operations, they are working there. I mean, just because you have a large project going on that might be changing parts of the plant doesn't mean the plant just shuts down. So how do you separate design work from master documentation that's already in the field? That's where this APW, Advanced Project Workflow, really comes into play. You can isolate, hey, if things are as built and in the field versus, hey, if these are design steps, this is stuff that's being worked on or being in progress, or it's just an idea, right? You can separate those things independently, which is huge for owner operators. It also allows you to have multiple projects going on in a certain area. So if you have two projects working in the same room, those documents can be, both of them can have copies of those documents, and Meridian keeps track of when the document copies were created, when they were updated, and when they come back to the system. So it really helps with the integration of those things coming back into the Meridian Vault as a master change. So those are the two major components, benefits that I've seen in Advanced Project Workflow. We talked about the enterprise server. Some of the key components for that are you can use custom jobs to execute required tasks within the enterprise environment. So an example of some of those would be rendition jobs. So like I said, if you have the enterprise server and you turn on the publisher, Meridian will automatically create PDF copies or rendition copies of every document within your vault. The big benefit of that is you don't have to have any software installed to view a PDF. Metadata is associated with the PDF already. You can easily print a PDF without any software. You can also mark up PDFs without any additional software. So that's a big benefit of the enterprise servers. You can use rendition copies. Another one is publish jobs. So publish jobs are where you can push information from one location to another within the Meridian environment. So if you have documents within a vault and you want to push them out to a SharePoint site every so often, Meridian has the ability of integrating with that SharePoint and pushing information out there every so often, or anytime something's updated. You can also duplicate information from one server to another if, let's say, there's latency or speed issues between servers. You can have a kind of a duplicate or a cache server somewhere else. And then synchronization jobs are the third component listed there. So synchronization jobs allow you to take information from a Meridian Vault environment and push it into the Explorer environment every so often, however often you have it scheduled to run. So once again, the difference between that, your Meridian Vault is your native documents, where your Meridian master documents are stored and managed. The Explorer environment is your read-only master copies that are updated so your viewers can see those renditions and find those renditions and have very searchable data there. So it's three examples of custom jobs that you can use within the environment. Another thing that can be leveraged within Enterprise is the import packages. So if you're doing bulk imports of documents from let's say an external contractor or from a server into your Meridian Vault, with the use of an Excel datasheet, you can merge metadata and document content into a single object within Meridian seamlessly. So Once again, that's using import packages and merging metadata with documents and bringing them into your vault into their correct location. I'll talk about the Explorer repository again. The biggest key that I've seen with that is you can isolate master or as-built documentation versus preliminary design work. So this ties into the APW stuff. And then another nice component is you can use the enterprise server for web-based user management. So you don't have to log into a server. You don't have to have access to the Meridian server to add or remove users. Those can be done in the web-based application called the Enterprise Admin Tool. So once again, just an overview quickly of some of the benefits of using the enterprise server. All right, asset management. So what this is seamless. The benefits of the asset management are there's a seamless access for appropriate information to related assets for all Meridian users. You can reduce the number of documents managed within a system by linking documents to multiple assets when applicable. So what that means is if you have 200 pumps that all use the same owner's manual, you don't have to have 200 copies of that owner's manual. You can have one and link it to 200 pumps within Meridian. So you've now reduced from managing 200 documents down to one. Same thing for, let's say, a process instrumentation diagram, a PNID. If you have one PNID that shows 3 tanks, you can link that one PNID to all 3 tanks versus having 3 copies of that PNID out there that had to be managed and controlled. So reducing the number of documents, that's a big one. Leverage the use of renditions for quick and easy viewing and documents within the browser. So once again, you can quickly access from another application the Explorer environment, and filters can be passed in that automatically restrict you down to the results that you're interested in based off what you're reviewing in the CMM application. We can provide access to revision history quickly and easily within the Explorer. So just because you can see the latest environment, a lot of times as a engineer or an owner operator, you need to see what did the document used to look like, what's changed. So you can look at previous versions to compare what's been updated. If something broke, what was changed that made it break. So you can look at the revision history pretty quickly. And the last thing mentioned here is just trustworthy schedule synchronization of information between environments. So you can know that, hey, my environment's updated every day at the same time. You're not wondering if information has been passed over or if you have the latest information, because it's all scheduled and runs within the server and the application. You're not waiting on people or anything like that to be pushed or synchronized manually. So it's happening automatically. So once again, those are benefits of the asset management module. Big benefits of the FDA module. First and foremost, you can avoid fines for non-compliance. If you have improper documentation, major fines can be applied to you. So they can put holds on processes where you can't produce product, or they could even do a search or seizure. So you can avoid some pretty major fines or penalties for non-compliance in your documentation or in your processes. So you can provide supreme confidence to your team that a document's content and management is correct. Right? So the FDA module provides everything required for you to be confident in your documentation. Right? So there's lots of checks and balances there that your information and your changes were done as intended. Right? It kind of ties into the next one. You can hold the appropriate level of accountability for all users. So now if people know that, hey, I'm signing this document, my name is attached to this document, they're going to be less likely to just push something through without looking at it, right? People are going to take the time to look at it, they're going to review it, and they're going to make sure your information is accurate. People are held accountable for it. So when that's done, then it improves your EHS, your quality, and your compliance team's confidence in your systems just in general. So kind of a waterfall effect there with the last couple ones we talked about, but I think the big thing of this one is you improve your documentation and you can be confident that your stuff's going to be right when you're using the FDA module. Meridian Mobile. So just go through the benefits of it. Free downloadable application for either operating system, whether you're using Android or Apple. So it doesn't cost you anything to download it. You can quickly supply feedback to your documents instantly using a remote device with an internet connection. You can improve redline quality again with built-in markup tools to reverse turnover with document editors. So instead of having to go back and forth with somebody on what your red line meant, or they couldn't read something, or it was electronic red lines drastically reduce the amount of turnover that you have when you're trying to get information from one person to another. So once again, that's the Meridian Mobile. Project Portal, some of the big benefits we see with that is integration with facilities and owners and external contractors in a secure environment. So you don't have to create accounts for people, let them into your intranet within your company. You can put information out on the cloud and invite them to come see that. They can only see the information that you want them to. You can manage their access. You can manage everything through the administration of it, but you don't have to create, it takes a lot of work off the IT team for that. It does simplify your user management for both internal and external users. So there's just a one-time invitation that's sent, and then you assign a role or permission to it. Once you're in, you can quickly view, download, print, or redline documents from anywhere. So once again, not having to connect to a secure environment within a customer's kind of locked down intranet is a big advantage there. And you can leverage the built-in viewer and advanced redlining tools, which I've mentioned a couple of times here, but it really is a big benefit. Some of the redlining you can do, collaboration with people between different environments in a centralized document. So once again, benefits about the project portal. All right, so one of the last things we're going to talk about is what's the complexity of Meridian module configurations. So honestly, there's no correct answer for the complexity of this, but there are some major things we can take into accountability to see how complex it's going to be. So I listed 5 things here, 5 things to look at whenever you're trying to evaluate what the complexity would be for your environment. So the first thing is to just look at your existing environment and see what's in place. Are you using any modules? Are you not? Where are you currently at? Then look at your licensing. Hey, what does our licensing look like? Are we going to have to purchase new licensing for this? Third thing to look at is what software version are we on, because older versions of software might not have some of the newer features and components that, or they might be improved in the newer versions. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind is what version of the software are you currently running? Are you going to upgrade or are you going to leave it there? Fourth thing to talk about is current level of customization. So is your Vault pretty standardized, or is there a lot of custom components that are involved going on in the background? Is there a lot of VB scripting that's taking place to make it function the way that you as a client uses the environment? So what's the level of customization? And then lastly, are there any specific requirements or requests that you're adding on to these modules? So once again, just the 5 things to maybe keep in mind when you're talking about complexity of configurations and is this right for us or is this not? Just a little note at the bottom, if you have, for details related to the possibilities or complexity of adding Meridian modules to your environment, go ahead and contact your local Meridian representative for a quote, just to get an idea of, hey, what would it take? All right, so lastly, I want to talk about some of the additional resources that you can look at for basically all things related to Meridian. But since we went through the modules here, I thought this would be a good time to kind of bring these up. So us at Hagerman here, we've got a couple of things that you can leverage. We do a thing called the Hub. So that's a great little website we have where you can go in and there's lots of different components within the Hub. You can navigate around and see if people are talking about things. You can see items that have been posted previously. And you can see anything that we're kind of putting out there and saying, hey, you should look at this as a customer, or hey, here's an issue that's been reported by this customer. So it's just a great way that we can communicate with you guys, along with the Hagerman Connection blog. So we blog every so often. There's articles on all kinds of things, whether they're Autodesk or Meridian focused or any other application that we might support. There's all kinds of blogs out there that are constantly being posted and updated. We also have a nice library of on-demand webcasts that have been done previously. So all of these webcasts that we do, we record and post out there so you can look back at these and leverage them at any point, not just the time when we present them. So that's the Hagerman stuff up top. Below, Accruent itself has some things that you can look into as well. So there's several white papers that give a nice overview of their software applications, how they're intended to use, and some of the benefits that you can see from those. There's a knowledge hub, which is a very well designed and continuously growing hub of knowledge. So anything related to Meridian or applications that it's integrating with, a lot of that can be found there. It's a great place to go search on. Accruent Academy. If you haven't ever heard of Accruent Academy, it's a great training that they provide. You can sign up for specific classes, or you can go through different, I think they call them tracks now. You can go through different tracks focused on whether you're a system administrator or you're a general user or you're a IT implementation lead. They have tracks or courses that are built and classes assigned to you to help you kind of get the information that you need to for those. And lastly, they also have some webinars and stuff that they put on that are recorded out there as well. So these links are all interactive. So if you, I think we'll be sending this presentation out afterwards, but if you click on these interactive links, they will take you directly to the location so you can leverage that and use that down the road. All right, so the last thing was just wanted to see if anybody had any questions related to these modules, maybe their functionality, availability, anything like that. So I'll give you just a minute or two. If anybody does have any questions, feel free in the pane for this meeting here. If you want to go down to the questions tab and go ahead and enter a question, we'll give a few minutes and see if anybody has them on. While we're waiting for them to come in, if anybody has any, like I said, go ahead and please do enter them, and we'll review them as a team.